Good morning, everybody. Good evening for some parts of the world. Welcome to Coffee and Magic. I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm doing these like every weekend, and especially now that I've figured out the issue with only streaming 5 minutes and then it going kaput. As you can see, I'm using my favorite coffee mug. So I don't know if I explained what the issue was. Um, But when I first got OBS, I was just kind of tinkering around, and um, there's an option or a tool called Output Timer, and I don't know what its actual purpose is, but apparently I'm like, oh, do this, and I think I might have thought that it was set for 5 minutes, so I'm thinking that I must have thought that it was for showing a timer on the screen, which I used to have one, and I need to kind of figure a new one out because I didn't like the one I had. Um, But yeah, so I set this timer not realizing that it actually would determine when the stream would end. And it took forever. Like I went to the OBS Reddit. I was in the forums. No one could help. Everyone's like, "Oh, well, it's because you're using a laptop. Um, it's because you're using one screen to stream and share content." I'm like, "But I'm not. It's literally me talking to the camera." And so no one was helpful. I sent all my logs, they'd look at the logs, nothing was helpful. Some said it was because my internet was slow, and my internet's not slow. Um, so, yeah, so nothing was happening, couldn't get anywhere, and finally found some help online through like page 7 of the Google search results. So happy to have that all figured out and taken care of now, but it's coffee magic time. So if you're new here, this isn't really me like drinking coffee and performing or doing anything like that magic-wise. It's really just talking about kind of the happenings this week that I'm aware of in the magic community. And I'm probably not going to share my screen for effect. So last week I got a copyright strike because Shrapnel had a beat in there that was copyright protected apparently. Because this channel's not monetized, well, I'm guessing that's the reason why it wasn't considered like a strike. It was more a restriction. So I wasn't able to monetize a video even if I was monetized. But it was just kind of odd. It's like you barely hear the sound in the background. But the same thing happened with Minecraft too. I went back through to see like if I had any other videos that had any copyright strikes, and I had a Minecraft live stream that I did where I was just kind of messing around on Minecraft, and that was had a copyright strike. So good times. But let's see what new came out this week. I have not refreshed any of my stuff. Oh, N2G has brought out a couple new things. So the new N7. So apparently they come up with a new N something every 6 months, I'm guessing, because I feel like N5 just came out around this time last year or just before Christmas last year. And then they released RBG, which is a copper, silver, brass kind of effect using Chinese coins. Let's see, what else? Ink permutation came out. I believe it is just a download, so you draw a line with a Sharpie on or with a dry erase marker on a playing card, and you push your quarter through it, and then you wipe the line away, and there's no slit. It's $12. Let's see, maybe I can share this. That's not the one I want. I really need to get like a stream deck so I can quickly do these things without going back to OBS. So maybe we'll start this and turn the volume down. Yeah, clear this one, but I think I have my this one just looks really clean. Now I'm going to guess that this is going to be mostly a virtual kind of setup. I'm going to guess it's not going to work great in the real working world. So, because you're going to have to make a gimmick, which I think, looking at you, we're going to have to make something since it's a download. There's no questions. It doesn't say that it's only... I don't see anything that says that it's only for virtual use. But that's just kind of the way that it appears to me. Like, it's not something that you're going to go out there and you're going to do for people. I mean, I guess you could. You'd need to be prepared to do some kind of a switch. Which, unfortunately, in today's Magic, people are so opposed to that. Which drives me absolutely insane. Because that's what Magic has always been. Like, you do something and you do a switch in a lot of cases to make certain things examinable. And so, like, it's just this new thought process of, oh no, if I have to switch, I'm not gonna do it. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just it's just one of those, like, do you do any routines where you have to switch something in? Like, do you do an Okito box where you have a solid slug that you have to switch in order to have the impact? Or do you do the trick and then you pop out slugs, like, and this is what the ending could have been. So, it's weird because I've experienced this a little bit with the people. Oh, I have to switch. It's not for me. But I was on the Magic Cafe the other day, which I don't get on there very often. Even when I was on there a lot, like in 2006, 2007, like, it wasn't a super great place, but it was a lot better than it is now. Like, how toxic that place has gotten just beyond ridiculous. But there's a thread going on Shrapnel. I'm like, oh, let me kind of see what people have to say. I'd already purchased it, but it's not coming yet. I'm supposed to get it Monday. But I'd already purchased it, but I'm like, hey, I want to kind of see what other people's thoughts are on it. Because I know how it works. I've watched the tutorial. But I guess I went there for the drama because I knew there was going to be some. And there's a point in the video where, this is just a safety pin that I have on my desk, but there's a point in the video where, like, he finishes the routine, he says, and everything can be examined. And it's not wrong. You do have to do a switch because it's based off of an Andrus safety pin. So in order for it to be examinable, you do have to switch, but everything can then be examined. You're borrowing the ring, or you can borrow the ring. The only thing you're providing is a safety pin. And so I'm in the cafe and I'm scrolling. I think it's not even on the first page. And someone says, well, how can this be examinable if it's using blah, blah, blah? And someone's like, well, I'm assuming you're going to have to do a switch. And then a person replies, like, I'm out. If I have to do a switch, I'm out then. False advertising. No, it's literally not. Like, I don't know what has happened to the magic community. Like, maybe it's, maybe it's everyone learning stuff off YouTube now and not reading books. It's, I don't know what it is. You know, it's so crazy because like I do notice that like the people who have learned most of their magic on YouTube don't have, and I don't want to say all, this shouldn't be a bucket statement, but like I do feel like most don't have the same respect for magic as those of us that had to earn our way into the club, had to, you know, go to magic shops, had to um, find books and things like that. Like when I grew up, there was no, I mean, there was internet when I was younger, but there was no like shops. It was you were connecting to servers, and they were like professional servers, like for databases. So like you had to go to like a physical magic shop to get magic, or if you were happen to be part of the IBM or SAM, you could write in and order, do like mail order from places like Hinkley's or wherever the case may be. Otherwise, it was a real magic shop, or you had to go to like a library and hope that they had some kind of magic book. And most didn't have magic books. Occasionally, you'd find one. You hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I went to the library and I found this magic book." That wasn't the case at a lot of libraries. So you had to like figure out like your connections to be able to get in there to start doing stuff. And now it's so accessible, and I'm not a fan of the teaching magic on YouTube. I see a lot of people just exposing magic, which is not cool. And I hear people come to the defense of, well, if they're teaching something you need to find a better trick. And I don't necessarily agree with either. I think that exposure isn't great. Like there's some things like you can kind of get away with, like, but when I'm seeing someone like doing a tutorial for something that belongs to one of my friends, it's like you didn't get permission to do this. You have no right teaching this on YouTube. Um, and I don't know what the right way to move into this time is with magic. Um, I think there's some that are doing a decent job, but I also would say that most people who are teaching magic on YouTube aren't great, and that also and have don't have a lot of ethics in magic, and that causes a lot of problems too. Um, Again, I don't think I have the answer. Like I don't know if it's creating a Patreon and saying, "Hey, do this," or creating like a Magic OnlyFans. Um, but I do think that we are getting some creators that are doing things uh, a better way with some kind of subscription service to be able to unlock more. Like, so I don't know. It just drives me nuts. And I've heard the argument like when people teach like the French drop, which is a very known, you know, slight, saying, well, professional magicians shouldn't be using the French drop. I see so many magicians still use the French drop because it's a quick, easy way to do a quick vanish of a coin and get rid of it. It happens. Like, is it my favorite method to vanish a coin? No. Do I still use it? Once in a while. I think, but you have to know your audience and kind of where you're at. It's along with one of those kind of judgment things of when you're doing something, are you going to go for the riskier move or are you going to go for the proven move that's not risky? It's kind of like when I see people like focus so much on their pass. The pass is a magician's show off move. That's all it is. It's like, yes, you can use it in performance. I've seen so many people mess it up in performance. But at the end of the day, we all practice the pass so we can show it to other magicians and show off how good our pass is. That's all it is. It's a brag. Because if you go to any convention, some kind of conversation gets started about someone's past. Oh, have you seen this person's past? It's really good. Oh, I've been working on it for years and mine's not even close to that. It's a brag. It's not even a humble brag because a lot of people find the past very hard. And it's not the easiest of moves. But you can accomplish the same thing so many other ways. So why put yourself in a risky situation, especially when so many people do the past badly? And I see so many people doing the pass on camera when they're doing tricks for YouTube or for Instagram that do the pass so badly that it's like people know what you're doing. Um, so yeah, there's that. I just kind of did this weird rant from one thing to the next. Um, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not angry this morning. Um, what else? Oh, I got a new magic book, but not a new magic book. So Confident Deceptions is back in print from Vanishing Ink. Um, I've been waiting for this for a long, long time. I don't think I talked about it last week. I think I just got it this week. But I've been waiting for this for a long time. So I saw Jason Ladany lecture, um, well, before lockdown. So it's been a few years, probably 2018 maybe. He was here in Kansas City and did his lecture. And I enjoyed some of the stuff that he did, but I missed the opportunity to buy this book. I should have bought it when I had the chance. And I didn't thinking, oh, it's going to be available. Not realizing that it was pretty much out of print and you couldn't get it anymore. So it came back in print and I'm excited to get it. But if you don't know much about Jason Ladany, you should definitely go check him out. His Instagram is hilarious, just because he is a fantastic card mechanic. Honestly, I'd put him up there as one of the best um, with what he does. And people, like normal folk, follow him and say that he's, cheating or using camera tricks or using a deck that's all like the same card. And no, he's really just that good. Like his persona is really an arrogant ass. Um, but you kind of, like dig it because he's a bit of an arrogant ass and he's owning it. And, but the thing is like, it fits him because he's just that good. Some of the stuff he was doing, like riffle stacking stuff, like, and not looking like he's doing riffle stacking stuff is just phenomenal. Um, Now, a lot of stuff that he does doesn't fit me, but I get kind of where he's also coming from. He's kind of coming from like this whole, like, I'm a card cheat kind of guy, I'm just that good. And I don't like a lot of gambling magic. In fact, it's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of memorized deck work because so much mem deck work relies heavily um, on gambling stuff, and that's or two decks, and I don't like either one of those things. So when I do look at min deck stuff, I'm looking specifically for what is not a gambling trick. And sometimes it's really hard. Like even when people are like, "Oh, I've got this new min deck effect," and they put it out, it's like it's a gambling effect. It's like it's not for me. But it really fits. I think it fits Danny's whole persona a lot. He even, does like gambling with a trick that's not even really a gambling demonstration. It's more like, oh, I bet you $50 that I can do this before you can. So I'm excited to start working through that book, start seeing what's going on with it, if there's anything that I really want to learn. So, and that's another thing about me that I'm a huge proponent of books, but I'm also one of those people that I feel like if you can get just one trick out of a book, that it's pretty much made that book worth it. And I think one of the reasons I think that way is so many times you buy a single trick that costs $40, $50, $60, and that's all it does. I can spend the same on a book and get one trick today that I'm like, this fits my style, It fits my personality. I really like it. I enjoy it. Or this is something I can alter or change it up a little bit to fit what I want to do. And it's the same thing. And then I can go back to that exact same book 5 years down the road and go back through. It's like, oh man, I can't believe I passed on this effect. And look, he's like, okay, well, it didn't really fit me back then, but this really kind of fits who I am now as a magician, as a performer. So that's kind of my thoughts when it comes to books. I love magic books. I love reading. I love reading magic books. I love deciphering through some of the typos. Because magic books definitely do have some typos. David Acker has a book out, and I don't remember which one it is. It must be on my bottom shelf. But the very first effect in it, it's really nice, like Triumph kind of effect, but it's done with a packet of cards. Great little trick. But he starts off describing it one way, and then when you do like a kind of like a process check, it's like, where are you at in this? You know, you just kind of like make sure you're set up right. It's written incorrectly. Um, I think, if I remember correctly, you do it with 9 cards. And when you do like your check, an extra card has been added. And it throws off the whole sequence of everything. It just doesn't work. And so you're sitting there, like the first thing you read through, you're just like, wait, I must have missed a card. Let me add this in and put it where it says it needs to be and finish. And then, of course, when you do that, the trick doesn't work. So that's that's one thing that I enjoy and get frustrated with, because you know you're sitting there learning and it's like, oh no, what did I do wrong? And you go back through and reread. It's like, oh, this was done wrong. It's not me. It's the writer. But mistakes happen, and I think, you know, things go to you send things to your friends or people you trust, and they read through it, and they're not necessarily practicing everything. They're just reading, looking for like grammatical errors and stuff. But yeah, I love books. I think you can get so much more from a book than you can anything else. I honestly hate learning from video. And I think a lot of that is a lot of people go into so much explanation of something that it becomes boring. And if you start skipping, you might skip something that's important. But if you watch it all the way through, you no longer have interest in learning, or that's at least my case. So I like sitting with a book, plopping it down, going through, like, okay, here's the effect, thinking about in my mind, what would I do for the method, or what kind of thought process for the method, and then I'll read the method. And then start practicing it if it's something that works for me. Now, if it's something where it's like, you know, it's a really great trick in the effect presentation of it, and then you go to read the method, and it's like, oh, well, you need to have 4 packets of cards planted on your body, hearts in your right pocket, diamonds in your left, clubs in your blah blah. That I'm going to be like, nope, this is not for me. And then say, how, maybe mark and say, how would I do it different, and come back to it, or just completely skip it. But I don't know, it makes a lot for me. I can learn the way I want to learn with the book. And I know that doesn't work for all people. I know a lot of people are visual learners, especially in our modern time. Um, but that honestly works the best for me as well, because that means I'm going to be doing magic that people aren't going to be touching, because they don't, you know, there's a saying that all the best stuff is in the books, and it's true. There is the effect that that I've released before, that I'm re-releasing, is from a book. It's from an old newsletter, and when I released it in 2000, I think it was 2007 when I released it. I wanted to stick very close to the original concept, to really, you know, say, hey, you know, here's this great trick. People aren't doing it. It's bring a lot of light to it, and then bring light to the creator of it, because it's not a name that everyone knows. It's not a name that really anyone knows unless you've done this trick. I don't think he's got much other stuff published other than this one trick back in like 1910. Um, so my whole idea was to bring my take, like my pattern presentation to it, but say, hey, here's the effect. Like, we're not straying much from the original. This is it. And when I released it, through the magic company that I released it through, it was taken. It was taken and reworked a little bit, but to me, it made the trick very unusable. And I don't know if there was a loss in translation of us going back and forth. Like, we're both Americans, we're both English speakers. The owner's a very, very intelligent man, but I think that his thought process on it is we need to change it enough where it's not like what's in the book. Or my thought process is like, no, let's have, like, I want the original printing of this. Like, hey, here's the original effect, the full thing, from the construction of the gimmick to the presentation from like 1910 to all of this, and then here's mine with the gimmick provided, with a modern day presentation and a couple, different things you can do to make it work and be, flow better. And so I don't think we communicated very well. So he released the one, and then like I remember going to the Magic Cafe and looking for it, and a guy from England saying, "Oh yeah, I got this. It's not very good." Like blah 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 blah. And I hadn't gotten a version of it yet, and I messaged him like, "Hey, what's going on with this? Because it doesn't sound like my trick." And he told me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm supposed to get a copy of it, so I want to take a look at it, and I'll be in touch. And I got a copy of it. I finally was able to get a copy of the trick. Looked at it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to send you mine. This is the original one. I don't know how it got changed, what happened, but this is the original one. And then, like, it changed his whole view on it, and even he was like, this is what should have been released, not what got released. And I still have no hard feelings for the person, from the company that released the effect. I think the thing that I'm saltiest about is I barely get a mention, even though this was, and I get that it wasn't my trick, but it was my take on the trick, and that's where I get a little salty at, because I didn't get my name except for a small mention saying like Corey Harris from Kansas City, Missouri brought this to our attention. So that always irritated me. So hopefully, I'm hoping this year I can get it released. I'm doing small batches. There's only going to be um, 208 copies, I think, available. And that might change to being less if I decide to include 2 gaffs in the set. They're also going to be different than what I use, just because I'm a big believer, like, in if I'm using some kind of gaff card or something like that, that the creator has theirs, and then people don't get the exact copy. So the creator still has their version that they're using all the time, which is for them and their immediate friends. So not everyone's doing all the same stuff, but because I still have the original cards that I had, gaff cards that I had printed years and years and years and years ago. I've got maybe 36 left because I've given some of my friends some. But I'm working on a few different presentations for it, a few different endings for it, and I would like to get it in the hands of some people that will go out and perform it and film it, just so I can have some performance footage. I could myself, but in the moment, it's hard for me to remember. It's like, oh, I need you to record this so I can do this. So, I don't know. I might try to do something at our. My fiance and I are doing a combined bachelorette party, because I don't know, but Maybe it's something I try to pull off there and have someone record it so I can have at least some performance footage of it, but I am hoping to get it out this year. It's just really sitting down, finishing writing out everything and trying to figure out, really how do I want it to flow, because some of the other ideas are just kind of like ending ideas. They're not like a whole other effect is like, hey, you can do this, here's some other handling tips on it, here's this, here's that, because I'm wanting to do a booklet and then also do probably some kind of video instruction. So that's kind of what I'm looking at now. I've just got to finish writing it. I've got to um, see if I can find someone to illustrate it, so I'm not just including a bunch of weird pictures of myself. But yeah, I'm excited about it. But again, something that's hidden in a magic book that most people wouldn't, especially current people, wouldn't know and wouldn't see it. They might be something that they look at and they just kind of skip over because it's a very dated effect. And when you read it, you're like, oh, that's weird. We don't talk like that anymore. And then, I mean, heck, while we're even talking about video, a lot of people pick up habits from videos and pick up the pattern more from videos and become a clone. So, it's funny because you can see people who grew up learning magic from Michael Amarzi's and Master Card Miracles or Coin Miracles. They're always casting a shadow and they're using like his jokes and things. It's just like, you need to be original. That's the other thing, advantage of books is you don't have that to pick up. And I think I mean, I get it. It's there, it's available, let's use it. But it's the same like if you were doing stand up, hopefully you wouldn't be like Carlos Mencia and steal people's jokes. But I mean, he made a whole career out of that. So I don't know. Back to the learning. Like, I don't know what the answer is for modern day time. So, um, I do recommend books, and if you ever want book recommendations from like beginner to intermediate to more advanced, like I'm always more than happy to provide some of those. Because it doesn't look like a massive library, but I've got this side of the shelf, I've got this side, it's all in the lower levels. So it's not like a massive library, but they're all books that I feel are really, really solid. Um, even Royal Road to Card Magic, a lot of people start crapping on that recently. I don't get it. It's a great book. Sure, some of the stuff is a little dated, but that's just magic for you at this point. So, but yeah, I've been going on nonstop about this. I don't know if anything else is coming out. I'm hoping to do some more reviews here soon of things that I played around with. I think I mentioned last week that I am planning on doing like a 6-month with the Orphic wallet when I hit that point. My Instagram might have some reviews, but I may redo a few just because I've spent a little bit more time with certain things. So like, I reviewed this really well, the Brent Bronze FPS coin wallet, but I may do another review of this for the channel for those who haven't seen it. And then probably a deck review of the Providence playing cards that I've been using and playing around with. So yeah, that's just kind of my what's going on this week. I'd be interested if there's any videos that you guys think that I should do. I have a few lined up, but nothing really set in stone. So I've got a few that I have ideas for that I'll try to get done this week. And might even start doing like some creator spotlight kind of videos and maybe kind of reviewing like a batch of their stuff and kind of seeing what goes with that. But then probably getting involved in drama myself because I like creators that other people don't like and that are controversial, that I consider maybe not close friends, but friends. but I'll also say, like, if someone that I know or someone that I'm friends with releases something I think is crap, I'm going to tell you that it's crap. Because that's how I am. I try not to sugarcoat things, even with like when my friends show me something. Like if I have someone show me, like, oh, check out this thing that I just came up with, and I look at it like I don't like that. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It's like let's play around with it, but something like there's times I'm like, no, bad idea. Um, Worse idea than doing a Goshman's Ding Dong at a kids show. Um, but I digress. That's I think we're gonna call it good here. I've been going for a little bit. I want to thank you if you've stopped in live to chat or to watch. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you're catching this in the replay, thank you again for checking me out. Yeah, checking me out. That's early. Um, but thanks for supporting the channel. I'm a new channel. I'm trying to kind of figure out what's going on. And the support so far has been amazing. Um, I know it's going to take time to get wherever I want to get, if I even know where that end game is at this point. But I'm having fun doing this, and I'm enjoying having conversations with everyone in the comments. Um, and so like I said, every week, let's keep that up. Let's have some discussion down in the comments down below. What's your preferred way of learning? Do you think how learning is on YouTube is the right way to go, or do you think there could be some improvements as well? Also, thoughts on just overall thoughts on books. And oh, that's another thing. I don't have a Discord. I don't know if my community is big enough for a Discord yet. But I am thinking of at some point doing like a book club. So a book club kind of thing. So I've actually proposed this over on Magic Mastery as well. But I'm thinking, get like a common book that we can all like sit around and like say, like kind of pick like, hey, these are some of our favorite effects, and maybe do some kind of like Zoom meeting or Google meeting or whatever, and just kind of discuss some of the things that we found out of certain books or out of a particular book that we might be going over, and improving on it. It would be a longer book club, so I'm not thinking like a month. I'm thinking it'd probably be like a substantial amount of time. Um, just because, like, if you're trying to find something, you're finding a few things that you want to work on, like, I think it's fair to take longer. But what are your thoughts on something like that? Like a Magic in the Moment. So Magic in the Moment is a Facebook group. You come and join it, but like a Magic in the Moment kind of book club kind of thing. So I don't know. Just let me know. And again, thanks for watching, and we will catch you in a video this week and then streaming next weekend. Peace.